Hey everyone, it's Donna from Donna's Corn Free Cooking. Haven't been with you guys for a while. It's been kind of crazy here in the Gilland household. So I thought I would drop by today and visit with you and talk to you about updates on how I continue living with this corn allergy. I did some research, which I hadn't done for about 16 years, on the IgE antibodies that I wanted to share with you. Suffice it to say that in 16 years, there still isn't much progress where the IgE antibodies are concerned. So we'll go into some detail about that in a little bit. Another thing I wanted to talk to all of you about is I did some more research. I've been getting questions from viewers about certain things, and one of the things that I answered their question today, and I hope I answered it in a way that they wanted, that had to do with baking soda. Now, I'm allergic to anything that has corn or corn derivatives, whether it be ingested or it's topical. Now, she had told me that someone had said, and that several people had said, that baking soda is not pure, that they add cornstarch to it. Well, the basic is if it's a baking soda product for your skin or your teeth, yes, a friend of mine checked into it, and she found out that yes, they do put corn derivatives in those products. But I called Arm & Hammer Company today. I decided I was going to dig deeper and do a little sleuthing on my own, because I have had this allergy for over 17, close to 18 years, and I have never reacted to baking soda that is used for cooking. And I wanted to find out exactly how it was made, how it was packaged, and to see if it had any corn derivatives in it whatsoever. Now, they did tell me, yes, the laundry detergents or cleaning products, toothpaste, deodorant, yes, they do have corn in those. But the cooking baking soda that you use, that you get in that box there at your store, that is made purely sodium bicarbonate. There is nothing whatsoever added to it to keep it from clumping. It's strictly just what it says it is, pure baking soda. She informed me that the way they produce this, and I did research online that even showed that baking soda, I don't know if you can see it, has only one ingredient, sodium bicarbonate. Now, it's because it reacts chemically when mixed with moisture or an acid, and that's why it's such a great leavening agent when you're baking. Now, I use it to make my baking powder with potato starch. Now, if you get baking soda and it says it has cornstarch in it, it's not baking soda any longer. It is baking powder, which when you look at a container of baking powder, it tells you that it is sodium bicarbonate and cornstarch plus whatever other ingredients they put into it. So I was real happy to get a hold of Tori at Arm & Hammer today, and I asked her directly. I explained to her that I had a channel where I'm trying to show people how to live with a corn allergy the way I do, and that I had this question about baking soda, and I needed to know exactly what was in the baking soda that they produced and how they produced it. According to her information, it is pure sodium bicarbonate, as it says up here, and it is produced in a closed, dedicated environment, which what that means is where it is packaged and sent out from, there is not any other thing in that area except the sodium bicarbonate in order to keep from having cross-contamination. And she also told me that the packaging, because of this corn allergy, she said they make sure that the packaging does not have any corn derivatives in it at all. It's just pure cardboard. And so I was really happy to hear that, because if in fact my baking soda I use for cooking had any corn derivatives in it at all, I probably wouldn't be sitting here telling you this right now. Now, yes, in topicals that use baking soda, yes, they do use cornstarch. So if you're allergic to ingesting corn and its derivatives, you're probably going to be allergic when it touches your skin or your teeth. So you don't want to use those. You want to use, if you want to use the baking soda, use the pure thing that has nothing but that. So I was real happy to hear this, because it was really starting to bother me, because I'm not trying to tell people how to live their life. I'm just showing them how they can adapt themselves. They have to do the work, and they have to decide what's best for them if you've got this allergy. So that was really helped to settle my mind, and I hope that I answered her question fully as to what they told me at Arm & Hammer. So going on, I had looked at one site and was looking at information, and a lot of the information I read was very, very good, and it was a lot of what I have talked about before and what I have dealt with. But there was one inconsistency that really bothered me, and I needed to say something about that. And one of the things the person had said was that reading your labels is not helpful. Well, that is not true. If reading labels was not helpful, I wouldn't be alive, because of the fact that with corn derivatives going into every single thing, just about every single thing, there are very few that aren't, like the baking soda. If you don't read your labels and then you ingest it and you have an attack, you're going to be sitting there asking yourself, why am I having an attack? Well, if you haven't read your label and saw that that item had it in there, then how are you helping yourself? That is why I always say read those labels, because they are helpful. They've been helpful to me for almost 18 years. So it's something that I've just gotten in the habit of doing all these years, and I keep it up. So that was one thing that disturbed me. Now, there was one thing the person said and had put in there that I was really pleased about, because what they said about doctors and what doctors are telling patients with a corn allergy, she said that the doctors were incorrect, and they are. Because what the allergists are telling their patients is that a corn allergy reaction is only to the protein, that the starches, sugars, and alcohols or other items synthesized using corn products as a starting material cannot cause an allergic reaction. That's not true. That is totally untrue. And I was so pleased to see that this person had put that in there, letting others know how incorrect these doctors are when they say that. They don't have the allergy. How do they know? They could say, you know, well, the person didn't react to it. No, your reaction to those, and I know I am saying this from my own experience, the reaction to those added ingredients or starches or whatever can be delayed. I was told that it could be delayed up to 4 hours before you have a reaction. And so I've always watched that when I eat something and I'm not sure if what was in it had a corn derivative, I watch myself. If within 2 hours my nose starts closing up or swelling, or I start having difficulty breathing or something, then I know that it was that item I had a few hours before. So it's what they're telling you here is not correct. So I was really happy to see that, and that pleased me. Now, going on to the IgE antibodies, when I was looking up the information on that, basically what it is, there's IgE and IgG antibodies. Now the IgE antibodies have to do with leading to an immediate allergic reaction when you eat the offensive food that you're allergic to, whether it's corn or peanuts, milk, whatever. And they appear within seconds or minutes, and that includes severe swelling, breathing difficulty, rash, itching skin, or even anaphylactic shock. And it says someone who has the type 1 allergy will most probably know which food is causing that problem because the symptoms appear immediately. So blood testing is not necessarily needed to identify that kind of allergy. And the only reason they do the IgE tests is for confirmation. And so delayed IgG food allergy, they call it, that's when your immune system produces those antibodies of the IgG, and they lead to an inflammatory process. And the symptoms from that can appear up to 3 days after consumption of a trigger food. And it's very difficult to pinpoint the food that causes the problem because of the delayed appearance. So if you eat something, say on Monday, and you were fine, but then 2 days later you start having symptoms, then you know you have a problem with that food. And what they do is the IgG test, it helps to localize and limit the suspect's foods. So what that means is some people might need to avoid salmon, say, but they're able to eat all other fish, and after a certain period of avoidance you may introduce one food after the other into your diet and monitor your symptoms. Now when you have those symptoms, here's what it says about the differences between the IgE antibodies and the IgG antibodies. Now your immune response to the IgE antibodies, you immediately release histamine, which when you start having an allergy attack, whether it be from food or from a pollen or a dander or something, what happens is your nose starts swelling or starts running, you could start sneezing, you could start having difficulty of bleeding, and that is caused by the IgE antibodies because it's attacking whatever it was you ingested as a foreign body or a bacteria. That's what it's looking at it like you've got they reproduce in order to attack bacteria and viruses to keep you healthy. But because our body is overproducing them, when we eat a food like eating corn, the body perceives it as a toxin, so it immediately releases a histamine and starts attacking it, which is why we have the allergy attacks from just swelling clear up to anaphylactic shock. And it says that the nature of the allergy symptoms for that is itching, red skin, anaphylaxis, swelling of the mucous membranes. Onset of symptoms is immediate reaction within a few minutes. And the way they tell if that's what's happening is they do a prick test or an IgE blood test and food challenge test. Now I had all three of those when I was first diagnosed. So it's just the basic thing that the allergist does. And so for the IgG antibodies, what happens with it, it has a release of inflammatory mediators that are caused by the offensive food that causes chronic inflammatory ailments, which could be constipation, gas, irritable bowel syndrome. Some people, diarrhea. Some people have a lot of these problems. And the onset can be after several hours or up to 3 days. And they do an IgG blood test and food challenge test for that. Now, for me, I release both of those to where sometimes a food that I'm not allergic to, but it can cause me to have every one of those symptoms of the inflammation. So I've never been tested for the IgG. I probably should, just to see what it is that can cause me to have those symptoms once in a great while. And I'm saying once in a great while because of the way I do my diet. Now, when you go further into this and you read about food allergies, the diagnosis and treatment, there's fewer treatment options for food other than other kinds of allergies. The main treatment is to avoid the food. So when you're allergic to corn, you have to make sure that you're not getting any of those derivatives or anything else, because as I said before, I have found that reading labels, researching that derivative to see exactly what it's made from, and if it is in fact made from a corn protein or corn product, because of the fact that some of the things on my avoidance list for derivatives have an asterisk by them, and some of them I have found, certain ones, they are not made with corn at all, even though they're on that list. They are actually made from like palm oil or from soy oil. So there's no harm to me because I'm not allergic to either one of those two things. So I haven't had an issue. But it's something you have to research and look for. Now, for food allergy, here's what it says happens with the IgE antibodies. And it's telling us here about food allergy and about food intolerance, because there's two different things. Food intolerance is not an allergy. It's your body has difficulty digesting or breaking down certain substances. And the common symptoms, as I said before, include bloating, gas or wind, stomach cramps, vomiting, and diarrhea. And they typically start these symptoms within a few hours after eating the food to a few days. And small amounts of that particular food are tolerated. Now, in a food allergy, a true food allergy, the immune system mistakenly thinks a protein is dangerous, although it's harmless, and it makes antibodies to fight it. Now, the common symptoms include itching, swelling in the mouth and throat, skin rashes, nausea, and diarrhea. More severe symptoms can occur too, such as a drop in blood pressure and unconsciousness. And they usually happen almost immediately after coming in contact with the food. And even small amounts can cause severe allergic reactions. So you have to basically watch yourself, as I have, and just stay away from it. If you're unsure about an item, yes, there's a lot of people out there who have their own opinion about what you should eat and what you shouldn't. But I'm telling you what my experience with. Everybody's experience is different from mine. All I can do is help to give you some basic information, and you have to do the research. You have to figure out for yourself what works for you and what you can and cannot do. Certain things that I can do because my body has been cleansed out I've cleaned my liver so many times, as I've said before, that has really helped me in dealing with food allergy. But you have to be careful of what some people tell you or is written, because they mean well, but sometimes they're mistaken in what they're saying because they got the wrong information from someone or from a site, or they misunderstood what was said. So you have to be really, really careful and cognizant and do for yourself. If I didn't do for myself, I probably wouldn't even be here now talking to you this way. But I'm trying to make you aware, show you what my journey has been like and how I'm dealing with it. I've had this, like I said, almost 18 years. I'm 67 years old, so I was 58, 59 when I came down with this. So for me, it's most of my adult life, I never had an allergy problem with food until that time. And now I believe wholeheartedly it's from the modification of genetically modifying the vegetables or the fruits. So I've learned to deal with it. I stay away from the things that I am allergic to. As I said before, I'm allergic to quite a few foods. That includes oranges, walnuts, kiwi, cantaloupe, carrots, watermelon, safflower oil, and of course the corn and its derivatives. So it's not just one food that I'm allergic to. I'm allergic to quite a few, and I have to stay away from them. So it's more of a challenge keeping away from the corn and its derivatives than it is the other foods. Now, if I buy plain chicken stock, it has nothing in it. So I can use that and it's fine. Beef stock always has carrots in it, or beef broth, any of that. Even the carrot or the chicken broth, they have carrots in it. I can't have them. So I have to make my own broths generally because I can't use those. But that's just what I'm saying. I have a little bit of a challenge because I am allergic to so many foods, and I have to make sure that they're not in the products I buy. So it makes it a little bit more of a challenge, but I'm doing it. So it's telling me here to get back to the IgEs. It tells you here that it asks the question, which tests aren't suitable for diagnosis of food allergies? Well, it says blood tests for other kinds of antibodies known as IgG, IgG4 antibodies, but it's not recommended because it doesn't allow any clear conclusion as to whether you're allergic or not. And the way they treat food allergies is to avoid those foods that cause them, and how easy it is to do this will depend on the food you're trying to avoid. I have to avoid 8 foods, and one in particular with its derivatives. So, they do have counseling programs, patient education programs, and tell you how to avoid those foods and what you can replace them with. So there is no cure. They have gotten, from everything I've read about the IgE antibodies and IgG antibodies, they're no further than they were 18 years ago. The only thing they can do now is there is a therapy they can do for people with allergic asthma, and they can reduce the antibodies in order to prevent the asthma attack. It does not stop the food allergy attack. So it's a case of knowing what your triggers are, and they're talking about how can you tell whether foods have allergy triggers in them. And they give 14 foods here that they say can cause allergies. And the manufacturers have a legal obligation to list them on the package labels. Now, what is funny, they have the basic 8 ones that they consider the main food allergens. They do not have corn on this list. Out of 14, they do not have corn. And I think that's very odd because there are so many people that are becoming allergic to corn and its derivatives every single day. So, as it says here, you have to really check your food packages, just as I have said. Read your packages to make sure. They said that sometimes there's unintentional traces of these foods don't have to be listed, but they are still doing it on many packaging. Corn is not one of them. It is not on this list. So, as I've said before, you are your own advocate. I am my advocate, you are your advocate. So what you have to do is really keep on top of these things. It's nice to read what other people have to say about it, but if you have any doubt about what they're saying about a product, or just like with the baking soda situation, I've been doing it for 18 years. I know that what I use is pure baking soda, sodium bicarbonate with no additives whatsoever. I don't use toothpaste because I have dentures. I don't use baking soda deodorant or baking soda cleaning products. So I'm not getting the topical reaction that most people would get if they use those products, because they do have corn in them. But because of the way they process and package their baking soda, it's not going to get contaminated with what they use in these other products. So I was real happy to hear that from what I call basically the horse's mouth. Now, when it comes to food allergy, the last question on the IgE antibodies that I was reading, the question asked, can you eat a little bit of food allergy that you're allergic, they're saying, can you eat a bit of food that you're allergic to? It says if an allergic reaction is severe or involves several parts of the body, it becomes anaphylaxis and can be life-threatening. Food allergies are not only potentially life-threatening, they're life-altering. And you have to remember that they are. People with food allergies must always be vigilant to ensure they avoid reactions. Now here's the myth, and I had this from my first allergist, and that's why I quit seeing him. The myth that people spread around, and some allergists, is eating a little bit won't hurt. Yes, it will. Even just, I know of a young girl years ago that was allergic to peanuts, and her boyfriend had ate a Reese's cup. Been about an hour, I don't know how long it was since he had ate it, and then he was there with her and he gave her a kiss. When he kissed her, she immediately went into an allergic reaction and she died. So that was very, very sad, and it just goes to show that even the most minute part of a food allergen can kill you. So, like I said, I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do. I'm trying to share with you my life story, but share with you information I find, information I've researched, so that you can go in and find this information yourself and see what it says. We all can use a little guidance sometimes. I know I can. And it helps me when I get questions from viewers, because then I can go in and start doing more research. As I told my viewer, I thanked her for asking me these questions, because it got me out of my complacency. I've been this way for so long that you get used to it, and then you don't go in and look at everything as much as you used to. Well, she brought me out of that because, especially about the baking soda situation. As I said before, I use it to make my baking powder, which I use potato starch to make my baking powder with the pure baking soda. And I've never had a reaction, never had a problem. And like I said, I don't use any products on my body except for pure and natural soap or Tone soap and Aussie products for my hair. That is it, because everything has corn derivatives in it, and if I use them, I can go into a reaction, and I just don't risk that. So I quit using makeup because it is full of corn products. And I used to wear makeup all the time. I couldn't go anywhere unless I had my makeup on. And now it's been so long, I mean almost 18 years, I don't even worry about it anymore. What you see is what you get. So I hope, guys, that this helps you to think and take a look at things. And as I said before, it's really interesting to read what others have to say, but how much of it you believe is up to you. I generally take it all with a grain of salt, as my mother used to say. You could either believe it or not. But I go out, I'm one of those, I go in for the facts, and I go in to find the truth. I don't use my own opinion, except when it comes to a doctor telling me that I'm not going to react to a derivative, and he has no clue. I do react to the derivatives exactly as if I was sitting there eating that corn. So, you know, that's where my experience and what happens to my body is my, what do I want to say? What I know. What I know is what I do, how my body reacts. You know, I don't know how someone else would react. If someone was to come to me and say, oh, well, this and this happened, you know, could it be this, could it be that? All I could tell them is it could be. You'd have to look it up, really read the information on it and see. You know, I can't go in and say, oh yeah, that's what's causing your problem. No, I don't know. Because I don't know you. I don't know your lifestyle. I don't know how you live or what you use, the products you use. I just know what I use, what I go through every single day. So I hope in some way I'm helping someone. And like I said before, keep the questions coming, and I hope you'll all continue to watch my channel. I'm adding more recipe videos. I do these videos like this once in a while because I want to try to keep on top of things and help others that have questions. So later on this week, I'm going to do a video, an attempt to make my English toffee, which has no corn derivatives in it whatsoever. So I hope you guys will join me when I do that. And please like and subscribe and hit the bell if you would like notifications when I do new videos. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.